Hey, it's Susan. I hope you're having an amazing day. I want to stop by for my weekly Monday Live and share with you some strategies on optimizing your life. So what does it mean to optimize your life? It means that you're feeling amazing. You feel like you can accomplish things. You feel healthy. You feel energized. And the sad reality is the majority of people walk around and they don't feel those things. You see, we all have a personal recipe for feeling optimal. And what a lot of people do is they look at other people and they look at that person's body, or they look at their Instagram perfect life, or they look at all sorts of things and they're like, wow, what are they doing? And although what other people are doing might be relevant to you, the reality is the only thing that's relevant to you is what works for you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Susan Sly, and I am the president and CEO of Step Into Your Power, Inc. So I specialize in really inspiring people to help them move from the gray zone, which is uncertainty and overwhelm and frustration, into that light area where they're feeling in control, they're feeling amazing, and going out there and doing incredible things in their lives. So today we're going to talk about what is your recipe, and I'm going to hopefully give you some tips to help you figure out what that is. So the first thing I want to discuss is my son. His name is AJ. And so AJ and I are driving in the car, and he had a pretty stressful year, if you don't know the story. So my son, he is on the autism spectrum, and he has a processing challenge. He just learns differently. He is the most beautiful person in the world. He's absolutely incredible. I took him to Tony Robbins in March. He walked on fire. He's so fired up in his life about so many things, but the way he processes stress is a challenge for him. And so we're driving in the car, and he's like, after exams ended, Mom, I thought I wouldn't feel the way I'm feeling. And I said, well, AJ, let's figure out what your recipe is. And that's where this dialogue all started. And I thought, I have to do a live on this. I was so excited. So this was on Saturday. This all happens. And I said, AJ, so here's the thing. When you're feeling good, you eat certain things, you get a certain amount of sleep, you do certain things, you watch certain things, and you feel amazing. And I said, AJ, when you feel amazing, what can you accomplish? And he's like, well, I get PBs in cross country. I have tons of energy. I'm a better big brother. I'm a better son, all these incredible things. And I said, just like AJ, you have a recipe for feeling optimal, there's also a recipe of things you do when you don't feel as good. So what do you eat when you're not feeling good? What do you watching? What are you thinking about? And that led me to this whole topic of conversation. And I wanted to give you the best personal development exercise that costs you absolutely nothing. Are you guys ready for it? Are you ready? And it's great to see. I see Jess there. I see Beverly, Riel, and so many people who are here. So love you guys. So are you guys ready for this recipe? I hope so. So the first thing is that you want to keep an intensive journal. And that journal isn't just about what you're doing, but it's about what you're eating, what you're drinking, how you're feeling, how much sleep you got. And you want to take a look at this all throughout the day. And years ago, I used to be a nutritionist, and that was the first thing I'd say to my clients: before you come and see me, it's 7 days. What'd you eat? How much sleep did you get? How much exercise? And all through the day, how are you feeling? And what I discovered with my clients is that, they maybe ate something the night before, and the next afternoon they're feeling angry, they're feeling anxious, they're feeling tired. And we figured out that individual, I used to charge $300 for that initial visit. We used to figure out that person's individual nutrition plan so they could just feel energized and have great sleep and do everything, right? And it's the same thing that's true for all of us. What works for Sharon might not work for Nicoletta. What works for Riel might not work for Bobby. It's all going to be contingent on you. It's going to be contingent on what's going on in your life. So maybe you're going through a lot of high stress, and maybe, your digestion is off. That can happen, in which case, a lot more plant-based eating. But, maybe you're working out a ton, and you're just in flow, in which case that might not be a thing for you. So the thing about our recipe, our personal recipe for optimization, is that recipe for right now might not be the same recipe 3 months from now. And no one is going to know your body as well as you're going to know yourself. Does this make sense, everyone? So I've been traveling a lot. I was just in Toronto the week before. I came back from Maui. I took a red eye, and then I had my friend Gordy's 30th birthday party and his book launch. And then 3 days later, I left, or no, 2 days later, I left for Toronto. Got back from Toronto Friday. I'm heading to the Netherlands on Thursday. I'm home for 3 days, and then, I'm gone again, right? It's crazy. So my recipe for optimization when I'm traveling includes things like making sure I get 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. And that is my number. That's for me personally. For Hadass, it might be a different number. For Joel, it might be a different number, right? That's my number, 7 hours and 15 minutes. So I know if someone says, hey, Susan, let's go out for a cocktail, let's do this, the answer might be no, because I'm not going to get my 7:15. If I don't get my 7:15, I know I don't feel as good. It's getting that workout in the morning. So even if I'm traveling, it's, I've got to break a sweat every morning. Even if it's only 20 minutes or 30 minutes, that's enough to get me energized and fueled. It's how I eat when I'm on the road for optimization, making sure that I'm journaling, making sure I'm hydrated. All of those things come into play. And it's the same thing for you. It's just knowing what is going to work for you. Because I want you to imagine that every day you could be energized, that you could feel empowered, that you could really go out there and crush it in life and business. How great would that feel? And I heard someone say once, you don't know how bad you're feeling until you start to feel good, right? And you're not going to know that recipe for what's going to cause you to feel good unless you start to journal it, right? Does this make sense? So with my son, I just, prior to doing this Facebook Live, I just gave him a journal. I said, buddy, I want you to write it all down. I want you to write down everything you eat, everything you're drinking, everything you're feeling, how much sleep you're getting, the workout you did. Because right now for him at 16, if we can, and we will, because if you guys know anything about me, when I'm determined it's going to happen, if we can and we will figure out his recipe for him feeling really good, what is that going to do for him? As he goes into grade 11 and then grade 12, he's going to be unstoppable. And what I would love to do for all of you is help you find your personal recipe. For Stacy, for Rial, for Hadass, for everyone to find their personal recipe, to stop looking at, there are 50 million diets out there. There are all these different things. And there are some things that are constant, some things stay the same. But just because your friend is all paleo and, CrossFitting, it doesn't mean that might work for you. You might not feel optimal. In fact, for me, if I did paleo and CrossFit, I might feel really disgusting because it might not work for me. And if you're going through a lot of stress, maybe it's yoga and plant-based for you right now. I don't know. So who's committed to journaling? Hey, Laura, it's great to see you. I'm Bev. Who's committed to journaling on this stuff and keeping a log? It is the best personal development exercise you can ever do. Remember, you heard that from me. You don't have to spend $10,000, $40,000 when you figure it out for you, what really works. And I'm just going to go down a little rabbit hole with you for a moment, if you'll indulge me. Sometimes it's the little things we're doing that are having the biggest impact. And I have a confession. Years ago, I used to drink a diet soda every day. And I was getting headaches and I was, having anxiety, and I thought, what's going on? What's wrong with me? And, I was reading a lot of personal development. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm reading Tony Robbins and Think and Grow Rich. And why am I getting headaches? And I felt like I was less than, because everyone reading these books was getting great results. And there I was getting headaches and still had anxiety. And when I realized for me, it was that diet soda I was having every day. The moment I stopped that, boom. I had a client and he was suicidal. He ended up going in the hospital, and I said to him, listen, I'm going to put you on a plant-based diet for 90 days. And poof, He just didn't think those thoughts anymore. And I'm not saying that there wasn't more to it, his doctors and everything else. And that was his recipe. It might not be your recipe. I don't know. I also know people, conversely, who have gone vegan and they felt really awful, and then they went back to eating meat and they felt fantastic. I don't know. But it's your recipe that's going to make you work. So I want you to go ahead. Hey, Jill Edelman, it's great to see you, love. I want you to go ahead and write these things down. So number one is, these are questions for you. How much water do I need to drink to feel optimal? Okay, for some people, it's 4 liters a day. That's almost a gallon. For some people, it's 2 liters a day. I don't know for you. I know what it is for me. And I know when I get it, I feel like superwoman. And when I don't, I feel tired, headachy, lethargic. Okay, so how much water do I need to drink? And it's going to be experimenting. Okay, drink 2 liters one day, drink 3 the next. Number 2, how much sleep do I need? Dr. Michael Bruce, who's been on Dr. Oz 36 times, Anderson Cooper is a friend of mine. He did my podcast show. And if you haven't heard the Susan Slide Project with Dr. Michael Bruce, carve out time to listen to it, because Michael is the most brilliant person I've ever met when it comes to sleep. And he said everyone has a different number. Stop thinking, oh, it's 8 hours or oh, it's 6 hours. Riel may need 6 hours, but Jill may need 8. Everyone is different. It comes down to our hormones and our age and our genetics. One of my mentors is almost 90, and Harvey McKay, and he needs like 5 hours, and he's writing his next best-selling book, and he's amazing, right? So for me, it's 7 hours, 15 minutes, and I learned that through trial and error. So number 2 is, how much sleep do I need to feel optimal? Number 3, what do I eat to feel optimal? So for me, I know, and it might not be the same for you, I have to eat really light in the day. So I'm like a protein shake, bar. I have these little snacky things I eat that are, vegan, lots of water, some herbal tea, 1 big cup of black coffee, organic black coffee in the morning. And that's for me to feel optimal. And then, at dinner, that's when I'm eating like tons of veggies, some plant-based protein. And that's how I feel like a rock star. That's the next thing. What do I eat? The next thing is supplements. What are the supplements I take to feel amazing? You should see, and again, I am not prescribing anything for you. It's all about you figuring it out for you. For me, I take a handful of vitamins in the morning, a handful of vitamins at night. I think, I don't even know the number, but it's just like a massive handful, and that's what I do. You should see when I travel. One of my suitcases when I leave for the Netherlands this week, it's like protein bars, it's got shakes, it's got vitamins, it's got like, it's just, and shoes. That's like 1 suitcase. So, what supplements do I take? The next thing is, this is a tough one. Who are the people that I spend the time with that really uplift me and I feel optimal? And this was a tough one for me because I made this list. Who are those people that I'm spending time with and I feel so optimal? And I was at church yesterday with one of my great girlfriends, Tiffany Malott. She's an amazing speaker, author. Some of you may know her. And then, it's just, I love being around Tiffany as an example. And our 2 little girls are the same age and they were in Sunday school together. And I made this mental note. I'm like, I gotta have Tiff over for dinner more often because it always ends up in a dance party. We have the best fun. We have the best conversations. And then there are other people that like suck my energy out of me, right? And I'm sure you have people like that too. So make the list. Who are the people? And the thing I'm going to say to you and call you out, thanks, Mike. The thing I'm going to say to you and call you guys out on it, it's one thing for you to watch this kind of a training, because if I was speaking live and you had paid like $1,000 to see me or something, you might be more apt to actually do this work. But because these are my free Monday trainings to empower all of you, you might not do this work. But if you commit to asking yourself these questions, it's going to be huge for you, because the first step to making any change comes from awareness. Okay, I got a couple more for you. The next one is, what am I watching when I'm feeling optimal? Okay, what am I watching when I'm feeling optimal? Some people, especially men, and it comes down to, how guys are wired, can get away with maybe watching something that's a little bit more violent before bed, and they're not going to have nightmares, but a lot of women can't do that. So what are you watching when you feel optimal? And then what are you reading when you feel optimal? And there are certain books I find way too stimulating. So Gary Vaynerchuk, love Gary, did a speaking event with him in Las Vegas several years ago. I cannot read or listen to Gary before bed, because I get like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go do 5 social media posts right now, and I have to make a YouTube video, and you know, I can't do it. But in the morning, I can listen to Gary Vee, and I can be like, yeah, I gotta go out there and I'm gonna get after it today, right? So there are also certain times of day for certain things, and again, for optimization. So what do I read before bed that I can have a better sleep? What do I listen to? What do I read in the morning that I can have a more epic day? And so those are just some thoughts. Hopefully this is helpful. Hey, Teresa Mosley. Hopefully this is helpful, guys, just in terms of really thinking about this. It is a personal recipe. It is not, again, what works for Teresa, what works for Linda, might not work for you. It is highly, highly personal. But if you can crack the code on this, I'm gonna finish with this. I have the privilege to know some of the top producers in the world. I have watched my friend Eric Worre grow a massive company with GoPro. I've watched Harvey Mackay, my mentor, build a company, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, 7 New York Times bestsellers, conquer prostate cancer, be a world-class golfer. I've watched Harvey do all of these things and is optimized all day long. And one of his, like, in addition to getting his workout in, reading the newspaper, he has like a little mini chocolate bar every afternoon. That's his optimization, right? That wouldn't work for me, but it works for Harvey. So I have another girlfriend. She's in her 60s and she looks like she's in her 20s. She's got like not a 6-pack, an 8-pack, and she has her routine for optimization, the things she eats, the things she does. When you crack the code on this, and people can, like myself, I can give you suggestions, but only you can come up with the answer. Oh my gosh, you're gonna be unstoppable, and all those secret dreams in your heart to crush your business, to write a best-selling book, to be a speaker, to do any of those things, grow a massive company, all of those things can be yours when you feel amazing. So let's crack the code on this week. Stay tuned all week. I am leaving for the Netherlands, so you'll get to see some fun photos if you hang out with me. If you have an idea for a Facebook Live or any suggestions at all, I do read every one of your comments. I would love to see those. And if you haven't checked out my show on iTunes, The Susan Sly Project, I highly recommend it. I have tons and tons of 5-star ratings. We have some amazing guests, and my guest this week is Garrick Jones. He's going to disrupt the NFL. I mean, this is really cool. He's one of my favorite guests to interview, and I love industry disruptors. He's going to disrupt the whole NFL, Garrick Jones. So I'm super excited about that. I have some amazing people coming up. If you haven't heard last week's show, Jesse Itzler, his wife is Sarah Blakely, started Spanx. Jesse is an epic entrepreneur in his own right. He has a new book that dropped, Living with Monks. I just finished reading that. It was awesome. So anyway, with that, I love you guys. If this has been valuable, please share it. I want to hear what you're doing to find your recipe. God bless. Go rock your day, and I will see you next time.